Good evening, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast. When you hear the word loyalty, what comes to your mind? So, yeah, when we talk about faith and loyalty, we're talking about being faithful, being like allegiance to something, devotion to a particular cause or to a particular person, like submitting yourself to be bound to a particular ideology or a particular belief. There are people who are loyal to their beliefs. There are people who are loyal to their traditions. There are people who are loyal to certain individuals. So loyalty like cuts across so many things, but it's more about just devotion to a particular thing. Like our ancestors were devoted to the oracles they were following. And so like that's like the essence of like that's what loyalty is all about. So the question is, what are you loyal to? Who are you loyal to? Do you get? So I think we'll be having one main anchor scripture today. We'll basically just be discussing from one particular part in scripture, and that's let's go to Jeremiah chapter 35. And so I'll read from Jeremiah chapter 35. I'll read from verse 5. I'll read from verse 5. So it was talking about the house of Rechabites. So verse 5 says, "And I said before the sons of the house of Rechabites, pots full of wine and cups. And I said unto them, Drink ye wine. But they said, We will drink no wine, for Jonadab the son of Rechab our father commanded us, saying, Ye shall drink no wine, neither ye nor your sons forever. Neither shall ye build house, nor sow seed, nor plant vineyard, nor have any. For all your days ye shall dwell in tents, that ye may live many days in the land where ye be strangers. Thus have we obeyed the voice of Jonadab the son of Rechab our father, in all that he has charged us, to drink no wine all our days, we, our wives, our sons, nor our daughters, not to build houses for us to dwell in, neither have we vineyard, nor field, nor seed, but we have dwelt in tents, and have obeyed and have done according to all that Jonadab our father commanded us." And so that's talking about God was testing, was trying to look for an example of faithfulness and loyalty. And so God sent Jeremiah to those people, the Rechabites, and offered them wine, and they were like, "No, we won't take wine because our forefathers, commanded us not to do certain things." If you read the whole chapter, you understand the whole story. And those guys were actually just loyal to the decree that their forefather laid down. And why did God go and bring such persons? It was just because God was trying to use them as an example of loyalty and faithfulness. Are you there with me? God went to bring those people, like, the same way God used Job as an example and was boasting about Job. God was disappointed in the Israelites, and he 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 went to, like, he made reference to those people, that house, and was like, if these people can even obey their ancestor like this, like, how much more you even obeying me? You get? And that was how, like, he was actually happy with them. He was happy with the Rechabites because they stood their ground. Imagine they stood their ground against the prophet Jeremiah. Like, that's a level of loyalty. And they were not afraid to hold on to that tradition that they were given by their forefather. And so it just shows us that God is not looking for people who are two-faced, or who are like one leg here, one leg there, or when they are saying yes, or people are saying, someone is saying yes, and then when problem comes, you just start hearing no, 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 no. People like that. You've met people like that, like, oh, they'll be like, yeah, we're with you, let's go and cause riots, let's go and scatter that place. And then when problems up, nobody. And so like, God was actually pleased with the Rechabites, and even if you read through the whole chapter, it's God at the end, God even rewarded them for their loyalty. God was like so impressed with their loyalty and he rewarded them. So today we're going to be talking about like the essence of loyalty itself, what loyalty entails. Another meaning, what loyalty entails, and we're talking about faithfulness, we're talking about devotion to God, we're talking about to a cause, to something, to a person. We're talking about submission. And so there are some layers that, when we talk about loyalty, like there are other subsections to loyalty, you know, pillars that make up uh, the act of loyalty or faithfulness. And so the first pillar we'll be talking about is discipline. Discipline. Like if you're not disciplined, you can't be loyal. You discover that discipline is an internal thing. So a man who is not disciplined, he can never be loyal. Trust me, because like it's just like he has not mastered himself. He has not mastered his desires, and you can use those desires as bait to get him. And that's how the devil gets a whole lot of people. You get like what are the things that the devil can use to bait a man? Maybe sex, um, maybe power, maybe lust for power, or what else? Lust for money. You understand? And the devil can use those things to bait a man. And so a man who has not conquered his desires, who has no discipline, cannot be loyal. Like he can't be because his desires rule over him. So he is a slave to those desires. He's a slave to those desires, he's a slave to those habits, he's a slave to those um, inclinations. So a man who lacks discipline, trust me, his loyalty will be fickle. That's why it's easy for you to buy people. You can buy them with money, you can buy them with sex, you can buy them with power, lust for power. And so somebody who doesn't even have control over their appetites, you can buy them with food. I've seen it actually play out. Somebody who likes sweet things. I've met somebody who likes sweet things so much, and because this person was, it was just easy to just buy them, like bait them with the sweet things you offer them, and before you know it, they're loyal to this other group because of the sweet things they were receiving. And so a person who has no discipline over their appetites, first of all, cannot be loyal. He can't be loyal. He will give in to his desires sooner or later. And so that's the first aspect we're talking about, discipline. A man who lacks discipline cannot be loyal. Like it's just gonna be hard. It's just gonna be hard. Then the second aspect of loyalty is self-denial. Like if you are truly going to be loyal, you have to be ready to deny yourself. Because if you cannot deny yourself, like when you choose to be loyal to something, it simply means you are saying no to other things. That's self-denial itself. You get it? Because if you are saying yes to this, then it simply means you are saying no to the other things around you. Because there are so many things I'll be trying to pull you. You get it? So let me give it as an example, like in the case of a man and a lady now. So if a man is saying yes to this lady, okay, from the Christian perspective, yeah, one wife, one partner, and all of that. If a man is saying yes to this lady, then he has to be ready to say no to several other ladies who might want him. That's like a normal thing. Okay, and so you have to deny yourself. You have to deny yourself like things that would have been harmless or okay, or just casual conversations or some little things like that. You have to deny yourself those things. And so if you look at the Rechabites now, like they denied themselves pleasures because they were trying to be loyal. They were loyal to their forefather, their ancestor. They were loyal to the tradition. And so they had to deny themselves certain indulgences. They had to deny themselves so many other things. And so that's another aspect of loyalty. Like if you are going to be a loyal person, you have to be ready to deny yourself of other things, saying no to other things. And then another aspect of loyalty is, okay, focus and memory, like having a sense of focus. You know, a man who does not know where he's going will easily be pulled left and right. That's something they say. That's why organizations usually have visions. Why do they have a vision? Because they want you to be focused on that vision. Because if you are focused on that vision, like, okay, there's a kind of loyalty they expect from you. Do you get? You get? So that's why, okay, God gives a vision to a leader. God gives the vision to a leader, and then, people who buy into that vision, they will follow you. But if you call yourself a leader and you don't even have a vision, bro, like, I don't know, it's not going to work out. It's not going to happen. Like, people will just follow you for a while, and then the next moment, they will just leave you and jump ship. Now, even before Christ came, like in the book of John, First John, John, Gospel of John, John chapter 1, said, in the book of John, he says, I have come that they might have life, and they might have life more abundantly. Jesus came that we may have life. That was a vision. He came with a vision, and the disciples that followed him, they understood that vision and they knew what they were meant to do. Their goal was to fill people with the life of God, with the life of Christ. Do you get? So where there is no vision, there should be no loyalty. And so you discover that sometimes when God gives you a vision, he gives you that vision so that you'll be focused on it, you'll be loyal to the vision. And that's why he will ask you to write it down. Because sometimes your memory may fail you. But then what is written down, you can always come back to it anytime. But what you just have in your memory can fade away. And so God has given some people some visions, and sadly they didn't even put it into writing. Or they just like kept it in their mind, and over time it faded away. I think it was in Habakkuk that it was saying that write the vision and make it plain. You get, write it down. And so where there's no vision, there's nothing to focus on. Let's imagine like a group of armed robbers now want to go and steal something. They have a vision of where they want to go to, who they want to rob, what they want to rob. And the gang leader shares that vision with his gang members. This is what we want to do. Are you with me? So the gang leader has the vision. He shares the vision with the other gang members, and the other gang members buy into the vision. Okay. So imagine, okay, me as a gang leader, and I'm like, oh, let's go here. Then the gang members will be like, what are we going to do there? Like, I don't know, we'll just go there. Let's just go there. Go there and do what? You get, like, you don't have a vision, you don't have a plan. So people will only be loyal to a vision that you have. What vision do you have? What vision has God given you? What vision are you running with? Do you understand? And so if there's no vision, there's really no loyalty. That's why oftentimes, like, when God calls you or when God brings you closer to, like, he shares you his visions for your life. Like, he shares you something like he wants you to run with. Yeah. He shares with you like a goal, like, like, okay, this is the goal. This is the goal. And so even God shares visions. Christ coming, like Jesus coming, he had a vision. He knew what he was coming to do. And so if Christ did not have a vision, do you think he will have disciples, or do you think the disciples will follow him? No, they won't. Because they'll be like, where is this man taking us to? But then you hear Peter say, like, when after the Sermon on the Mount, when people deserted Jesus, and Jesus asked his disciples, are you not going to leave us? And Peter was like, where are we going to? You are the one who has the words of eternal life. Okay, so they knew that Jesus was like the embodiment of eternal life, and they followed that. So to be loyal requires a kind of focus, and there's something you have to be focused on. There's a goal as you have in mind. There's something you've seen at the end, a mental picture, a mental image you've seen at the end. That this is the end game. And so like you are loyal to something because you have a vision, and then that vision keeps you focused. You may not have originated that vision, but then like the vision was passed on to you by probably the leader of the group or something. There has to be a kind of focus, and that's why I talked about, okay, writing it down, holding on to it. Like, this is it. This is the goal. Like, you've written it down, you keep looking at it every day, and, you're loyal to the cause, you're loyal to that particular assignment, you're loyal to that particular purpose and all of that. Another aspect of loyalty is that, you have to set in place boundaries. Like, when I talk about boundaries, I'm talking about like denying yourself certain things, things that will hinder your ability to be focused on a particular thing, things that will hinder your ability to stay true to a particular cause. And so let's put it in our relate it to our relationship with God now. If you say you are loyal to God, you have to set boundaries against certain things that will affect your relationship with God. If there are no boundaries, because God is exclusive, God does not like to share. It's not like, okay, 1 minute you are here in the disco party, the next minute you say you're in the presence of God. No, you can't have one leg here, one leg there. Do you get the point? So like you have to know that, okay, this is what it is, and then create boundaries, against certain other things. Like looking at the anchor scripture we use, in Jeremiah chapter 35, the Rechabites, they had boundaries, obviously. I'm sure they didn't mingle with people who were always drinking wine. Because for them, drinking wine was an abomination for them. And so in order to hold on to stay loyal to their cause, to what their grandfather had decreed or had laid down as a rule for them to follow, they had to cut off certain boundaries from certain communities or certain group. Like they would not even allow somebody who was a drinker of wine to stay with them. Those were boundaries. Because they knew that if they didn't create those boundaries, they would be corrupted. Am I wrong? You get, if they didn't create those boundaries, they'll be corrupted. So, like, what boundaries do you need to place in your life in order to stay loyal to that cause? In order to stay true to that cause? You get? And so, like, these are just like few snippets from, the essence of loyalty. I'm sure there are more, but I've come to realize that loyalty is something that is very, very scarce in our society. Very, very scarce. And it's a product of, I don't know how to put it, but few people are loyal these days. Few persons are loyal. Why? Because they've not understood how to be loyal to God. I believe that, or I know actually that a man who can be loyal to God will be loyal to his partner, will be loyal to those around him. Like if you are relating with God now, coming to God or coming to Christ, he said, if any man will follow me, you can let him deny himself, take up his cross and follow. What did he say? Deny himself. So if Christ is expecting loyalty from us, what must happen? There must be a denial of other things. So a man who has not learned how to deny himself before God, how will he deny himself before his partner? It's not going to be possible. It's not going to be easy. So, you're talking to people about, okay, do not divorce, do not do this, do not, spoil this relationship or, but then, like, how is their own relationship to God? A man or a lady who has not, like, perfected their relationship with God, like in the sense of being loyal to God. How can that person be loyal to a partner or a human being, ordinary human being? Do you get my point? And so it's not going to be actually possible. And that's why we have the cases of, so many lack of, faithfulness is a fruit of the spirit. Faithfulness is like loyalty itself. Faithfulness is actually a fruit of the spirit, like being faithful to God. Not because other people are watching, not because anybody's there. Like I believe the first accountability over the lives of everybody should be God first, then before human beings. You know, the first accountability over your life, it should be God first, then before human beings. Because God is supposed to take preeminence over our lives, first of all. Then number two, like there are times when human beings will not be around us. Are we still going to be loyal? You get? And so yeah, okay, nobody can see you, but then God can see you. Yeah, so if you're like, okay, you're only accountable to human beings, you're not accountable to God. What if when human beings are not there? Yeah, will you be able to stand firm? Will you be able to stay true to the cause? So a person who is loyal to God will not find it hard to be loyal to their partner or even to their friends or even to their group or even to the vision. Why? Because if you are loyal to God, first of all, you will learn self-denial. Trust me, it will teach you self-denial. It will teach you discipline. He will teach you how to die to yourself, how to die to the things you want, to your own desires. Because if you are working with God, you have to die to the things you want. You have to die to your own desires. You have to deny yourself of so many things in order for your communion with God to be smooth. So if you've learned how to be loyal to God, it won't be so hard to be loyal to your partner because you've already perfected loyalty with God first. Well, these days, it's discovered that some people are trying to perfect loyalty with their partner first before, trying to even be loyal to God. And it doesn't work that way. And oftentimes it fails. So yeah, seek ye first the kingdom of God, everything will be added unto you. Seek loyalty, like faithfulness. Be faithful to God. I'm not talking about church or fellowship. I'm like talking about like be faithful genuinely from your heart. Like whatever you do in private, let it be the same thing you do in public. It shouldn't be that your private life is different from your public life because people cannot see you in private. You understand? No matter how you say you have so many accountability stuff and this and that, like yeah, they can't follow you to the toilet. They can't even be following you everywhere. But then it's only God that knows those that are truly His. Why? Because He knows those that are truly loyal to Him, not those that claim loyalty, but those that are truly loyal. And these ones that are truly loyal, they are not just loyal publicly; they are loyal in their private lives. Like when that temptation comes and nobody's there, nobody will even know. Like, are you still loyal to God? Do you get your loyalty will be tested? There's nothing that will not be tested. It says, the fool builds his house on the sand, and a wise man builds his house on the rock. That when the flood comes, the sand will be swept away. So some people their loyalty is built on sand, not on the rock. Some people's loyalty is like the sand, and when the flood comes, it will be swept away. Why am I saying this? Like, if your loyalty is still has scale leg, if your loyalty is still shaking, I think you have to go and solidify your loyalty to God. Like you have to go and actually solidify. I'm not talking about like I know and I believe that if you are loyal to God, you'll be loyal to your partner. So I'm not saying you should go and be loyal to your partner. I'm saying go and be loyal to God. Because if you are loyal to God, they're not born you were not to be loyal to your partner. Because to be loyal to God is to fear God. To be loyal to God is to have reverence for God. To be loyal to God is to just be in awe of Him and to not want to do anything that will affect your communion. Some people have, God has given them a vision, but then along the line they stop being loyal to the vision. You get why? Because the fact that they didn't put certain boundaries, something else has pulled them away. Okay, so loyalty, like if you are going to truly be loyal, you have to be ready to say no. If anyone will follow him, let him deny himself. You have to be ready to say no to certain things. And loyalty comes in levels. Like you don't just become loyal at once when I'm talking about your relationship. Because remember the story of those people who are the servants with he gave talents to. He gave one 5, he gave one 10, and he that was faithful in the little more was added. So like the more tests you accomplish or you overcome, or the temptations you overcome, the stronger your loyalty is. Are you with me? And so the solution to the problem of loyalty, I believe, is if you are truly loyal to God, I believe you be loyal to those around you, even your partner, even your family, But then the first level of loyalty is to God Himself. Thou shalt love the God with all your heart, with all your might, with all your soul, and with all your strength. That's the foundation of loyalty for anybody's life, for any man's life, for any lady's life. That's the first level of loyalty, your commitment to God. And I strongly believe that if you can be loyal to God, it won't be hard for you to be loyal to your partner. So we'll be stopping there for this podcast. Okay. Guess we'll be seeing some other time. The prayer is that God help me to be loyal to you. Before we go, I actually want to say one thing. The coming days, your loyalty will be tested. Trust me. Like you're already seeing the things that are happening around. It's not a joke. You know those movies where um people were not expecting something and then all of a sudden there's an emergency and then you're hearing over the radio that this is not a drill, this is not a drill. You know, you get like what is happening is not a drill. What is happening is not a drill. So if your table is just one leg, or if it's still shaking, go and find a carpenter you get that will make sure that that leg is standing firm. What am I trying to say? Go and check yourself and make sure that your loyalty to God is firm. That your roots are firm. Why? Because your loyalty will be tested. What am I saying? The flood is coming. Do you get? And those that don't even have any roots, what will happen? Those that are forming fake loyalty, what will happen? They will be swept away. The flood is actually coming. It's here already. The flood is here. So your loyalty will be tested. If you claim to follow God, yes, it will be tested. It is not a drill. And so go and strengthen your loyalty to God. Make sure your loyalty to Him is fair, is firm. Know why you're loyal to Him. Okay, why are you loyal to God? Why are you loyal to? Because we are first to be accountable to God before men. Because it's not men that will judge us. God will judge each and every one of us for everything we've done on earth. Are you with me? So we'll be stopping there for tonight. The prayer is that God will grant us the grace to stay loyal to Him. The same way Job was loyal, the same way the Hebrew boys were loyal. Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. The same way even Daniel was loyal. And the same way even Jesus was loyal to the end. And even the apostles that were crucified. The apostles were killed too. They were loyal to the end. These are the ones that love not their lives unto death. That's what it says in somewhere in Revelation. Like they follow the Lamb wherever it goes. And so it's a call to be sure that yes, you are truly loyal. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all your heart, with all your strength, and with all your might. So thank you for tonight's podcast. The prayer is that God will grant us the grace to be firm and to be committed to that which we have believed, to be firm and committed to Him, irrespective of what is happening around us. So thank you for joining tonight. Do have a wonderful evening.